been waiting with bated breath. Of course, you saw those images coming from the Harare International Conference Center. We think something's up. We think something's afoot. You saw the head of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, Priscilla Chigumba, coming through with an entourage. Very soon, we shall be hearing what they're saying. And actually, how about we cross over and try to get a piece of what they're saying until, of course, we hear if the results are out now.
Tinokudeedzai panguva dzemadekwana ano. Tinongotenda Mwari nechipo choupenyu chamatipa kusvika pazuva ranhasi. Vakawanda vanga vachishuwira kusvika pazuva irori Mwari asi zvatadzikana. Saka tinongotenda nechipo ichochi. Ishe tiri kuisa program yedu mukati memaoko enyu ye-announcement of results. Mwari tungamirai murimi. Zvese zvigofamba zvakanaka. Zvikuru sei Mwari, itai kuti vana venyu veZimbabwe varambe vaine runyararo kubvira zvino kusvikira nokusingaperi. Amen.
Thank you, Marshita. I would like to call upon the Deputy Chairperson, the Executive Deputy Chairperson, Commissioner Ambassador Rodney Kiwa, to give us welcome remarks. Let's give him a pump-up.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, and good evening to everyone, and you are most welcome. The Honorable Justice Chigumba, the Chairperson of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, may I also recognize presidential candidates. They are here. Their agents, and let me also recognize my fellow ZEC commissioners, the ZEC Chief Elections Officer, election observers, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this momentous occasion on which the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission is announcing the country's 2023 presidential election results. This, of course, is the culmination of a long journey which started more than 2 years ago, and it involved several electoral processes such as the conduct of the national delimitation exercise, mobile voter registration and education exercises, the nomination processes and the litigation processes that followed it, the printing and the distribution of ballot papers. A logistical nightmare it was, but it was overcome. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout these endeavors, the Commission's torchlight was the law. The torchlight was the law. The Commission was also guided by its mission and vision, as well as its 6 core values, which I will repeat for purposes of emphasis. And these are transparency, impartiality, independence, inclusivity, integrity, and of course, teamwork. This journey was not easy, as it had its own set of challenges, but as all of you probably know, every successful outcome comes from sweat and toil. The challenges were not insurmountable, as evidenced today. We prevailed. Ladies and gentlemen, Local authority and National Assembly election winners were announced at wards and constituents collation centers in terms of the country's laws. Their names were pasted at convenient places for the public to see. As some of you have witnessed today, the Commission invited all 11 presidential candidates and their chief elections agents to witness the collation of presidential election results from all corners of the country. If this is not a demonstration of transparency, then I probably do not know the definition of this word. As I have always said, the Commission has nothing to hide in the execution of its duties, and it is not subject to the control of anyone as outlined in the country's constitution. It's very important to note that we are an independent commission. In this regard, the Commission would like to express its gratitude to the people of Zimbabwe for conducting themselves peacefully before and during the elections period. And it is the Commission's fervent hope and wish and prayer for peace and tranquility to prevail after the announcement of the results and forever thereafter. I wish all foreign observers a pleasant journey back to their respective countries, and hopefully they will be our guests again at future elections. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor and pleasure to call upon the chairperson of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, Justice Priscilla Makanyara Chigumba, to take up the task of announcing and declaring the winner of the 2023 presidential elections. Justice Chigumba. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson, Ambassador Kiwa. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly allow me to ride on existing protocol in the interest of time. This is the declaration of results of the 2023 presidential election. Whereas it is provided by Section 110, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act, Chapter 213, that where two or more candidates for the president are validly nominated, a poll shall be taken in each constituency for the election of a president. And whereas on the 21st of June 2023, 11 candidates were nominated, namely Busha Joseph Makamba, Free Zim Congress, Chamisa Nelson, CCC, Chikohora Trust Tapiwa, ZCPD, Kasia Muru Blessing, ZIPP, Maduku, Love More, NCA, Mnangagwa, Emerson, Dambudzo, ZANU-PF, Mbaiwa, Wilbert, Archibald, NPC, Muzorewa, Gwinyai, Henry, the UANC, Monzora, Douglas, Togarase, MDC, Valerio, Elizabeth, UZA, Wilson, Harry, Peter, DOP. These candidates were nominated for election to the office of president. And whereas a presidential election was conducted on 23 August 2023, and whereas the Chief Elections Officer has, in terms of Section 110, subsection 3, ascertained the result of the presidential poll, and whereas the following votes have been received by each candidate in respect of each province. Busha Joseph Makamba, Free Zim Congress, 18,816 votes, which constitutes 0.4% of the vote. Chamisa Nelson, CCC, 1,967,343, which constitutes 44% of the vote. Chikohora Trust Tapiwa, ZCPD, 10,230, which constitutes 0.2% of the vote. Kasia Muru Blessing, ZIPP, 13,060, constituting 0.3% of the vote. Maduku Lovemore, NCA, 5,323, constituting 0.1% of the vote. Mnangagwa Emerson Dambudzo, ZANU-PF, 2,350,711, constituting 52.6% of the vote. Mbaiwa Wilbert Archibald, NPC, 53,517, constituting 1.2% of the vote. Muzorewa Gwinyai Henry, the UANC, 7,053, constituting 0.2% of the vote. Monzora Douglas Togarase, MDCT, 28,883, constituting 0.6% of the vote. Valerio Elizabeth Isabel, UZA, 6,989, constituting 0.2% of the vote. Wilson Harry Peter, DOP, 6,743, constituting 0.2% of the vote. The total votes cast were 4,561,221. Total valid votes cast were 4,468,668. Total votes rejected, 92,553. Our total voter population was 6,623,511. The voter turnout was 68.9%. Now, therefore, I, Priscilla Makanyara Chigumba, the chairperson of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, in terms of Section 110, subsection 3, do hereby declare that Mnangagwa Emerson Dambudzo of ZANU-PF Party has received 2,350,711 votes out of 4,468,730 valid votes cast, which are more than half the number of valid votes cast in the presidential election. Therefore, Mnangagwa Emerson Dambudzo of ZANU-PF Party is declared duly elected President of the Republic of Zimbabwe with effect 26 August 2023.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of our program. Thank you.
They watch. They learn. They imitate. Which is why you have to lead by example. The all-new Kia Sportage. Lead by example. Kia, movement that inspires.
So, there ends this epic journey that started, of course, 5 years ago, because it takes 5 years of a cycle to come back again and go into a plebiscite. We have just heard the figures, 2 million plus for the incumbent Emmerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa of ZANU-PF party, which means he then clinches that second term, the crucial second term that he wanted to get, the crucial second term that he went the length and breadth of the country to try and get. And that pips his biggest rival. And as we had said, this would be a two-horse race, as we had predicted, as the exit polls had predicted. This has been, of course, a two-horse race. The results are in. The results have come in. We have waited diligently to find out how things are standing. Welcome. This is Zim Papers Television Network. This is ZTN Prime. And I am Robert Mkondiwa. They spell out and what do they say? I'm your host, I'm Robin Kondiwa. We shall be just giving a bit of a wrap-up of where we stand today. Perhaps just going back a little bit to see how we have arrived where we are today. Some hearts are broken and some people are elated. The results have come in. It's election 2023. And certainly, we have heard that proclamation. It's been a journey that's gone from pillar to post. We have been tracking, for example, all those results coming in from the National Assembly. And the National Assembly seems to have had a bit of movement as well. And as you can see, we've also had movement at a level that speaks to the presidential figures. What do the figures look like right now? Well, those two arch rivals, as it is, Emmerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa, the candidate for ZANU-PF, getting 52.6% of the vote, and his rival Nelson Chamisa of the Citizens Coalition for Change, he garnered 44.0%. How did they fare the last time around? Well, the last time around, the journey seemed to look perhaps something like this as well. Nelson Chamisa there getting 2,147,000 votes, as it were. Where did it go wrong? He lost quite a bit of numbers there. And 2,460,463 for Emmerson Mnangagwa in that race in the year 2018. Nelson Chamisa had 44.3%. Today, he has 44.0%. Emmerson Mnangagwa had 50.8%, scraping through with a win. But this time, it's a little bit more comfortable than it was in the year 2018, as the figures are telling us here. That is the head-to-head. Nelson Chamisa had said this shall be a presidential election, and they focused as a party on the presidential election vote. But it seems that didn't work out perfectly well for them. But looking at the National Assembly figures, there's a glimmer of hope for his party, because last time around, the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance, which he was heading, won 63 seats in total of the National Assembly, as opposed to 145 for ZANU-PF. And if we just stay here, I will give you certain indications. For example, Bulawayo Metropolitan, ZANU-PF at least scraped to 1 win and 11 were lost. But this time around, 12 went to the Triple C. And last time around, ZANU-PF only managed to get 1 seat in Harare Metropolitan Province. This time, they have 4. There was a clean sweep in Mashonaland Central for ZANU-PF in the last election. And I will even allude to the fact that the National Patriotic Front got 1 seat, and there was another independent, and that was Themba Moliswa. He got a seat, and of course, this time he lost that seat around. Now let's see what the figures are looking like this time around. There is a battle for that Mount Hamden building, the National Assembly building. What is it looking like at the National Assembly come this time when we're going forward to the next 5 years? You will notice that the seats per province are all tallied, but they do not tally to 210 seats. That's because one of the contenders passed away, and he was an independent candidate, and so the polls could not go forward there, and that was in Gutu. And so we've got 209, and we shall be going to a by-election to get that. ZANU-PF lost some ground in the House of Assembly. They got 136 seats. They breached the 140 mark last time around. And of course, then it was the MDC Alliance. They got in their 60s. This time they got 73. And while Nelson Chamisa was saying this was a presidential election and they seemed to be focusing more on trying to get the numbers for the presidency, ironically, they won more seats in Parliament, in the National Assembly, and this has proven to be more of a National Assembly fight and a National Assembly move for that party. What does that say going forward? They may be very distraught and dismayed because they have failed to win the presidency. But to their name as the Triple C, that yellow movement, they at least restricted the ruling party ZANU-PF because they failed, and they being ZANU-PF failed to get the 2/3 majority that they would need to enact any changes to the Constitution of 2013. Perhaps that is something that they can look at and say that is a glimmer of hope for them in this particular loss that they suffered to ZANU-PF. And as I speak, this is what the map of Zimbabwe, our beautiful country, is looking like at the moment. There in the red, that's the MDC Alliance the last time. They scraped and got those seats in the National Assembly. This time around, they did quite well. They did a lot better, and they perhaps will get a bit of respite, saying we got to restrict our opponents even further and get a couple of seats, a more number of seats, as it were, than they did the last time. And of course, the key there, showing you that last time around we even had independence. This time around, it was a perfect 2-horse race. We don't have Matambanadzo, the late black man. He won in Kwekwe. And this time around, we don't have Buru Themba Moliswa. He obviously losing out to Richard Tsvangirai, the son of the late opposition stalwart Morgan Richard Tsvangirai in Norton constituency. So that's how our country looks like today. Going forward, at least for the next 5 years, this is how we stand. A couple of more figures coming for us. That is the pie chart. And as I say, this is a 2-horse race as it ended up today. 34.76% for the Triple C, and it is that figure that they're using to restrict the ruling party ZANU-PF in the House of Assembly. 64.76% there coming for ZANU-PF, and they managed to get a couple of urban votes in Harare, including Mbare, where they also won this time around. Of course, the 12 that we were talking about in the last analysis, the 12 from Bulawayo, they then went all for Triple C, and they're all colored yellow. Last time around, at least for ZANU-PF, they managed to get one. This time, that wasn't the story. So that is the story last time around in 2018. The National Assembly seats there for ZANU-PF colored in green. They got 69.05%. And, of course, that MDC alliance that Nelson Chamisa was heading last time around got 30% of the vote. And the others, the two I was talking about, Matamanadzo, Mliswa, they managed to shake things a little bit and walk into the august house as independent candidates. You have the results, you have the figures. Let us now look side by side. 30% last time around for Nelson Chamisa and his entourage, 34.76% this time around. Emmerson Mnangagwa going 69%, 69.05% the last time around, but this time scaling back a little bit because there seems to have been a bit of a momentum from the opposition, from the Citizens Coalition for Change. They got 64.76% as ZANU-PF, and perhaps they would want to go back to the drawing board and see what went wrong, where did things go wrong, and of course they want to solidify their showing going forward. You are waiting with bated breath. You are waiting anxiously to see who has won this show. And you have the figures, you have the statistics. It has been a long and grueling and tiresome journey for all of us. There have been results coming in, trickling in, until we've had this final culmination. And that culmination says Emmerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa is now the president-elect of the Republic of Zimbabwe. What more going forward, of course, for Nelson Chamisa, who still seems to harbor hopes of running this beautiful country? Your guess is as good as mine. They will probably go back to their settings and look for other strategies, other ideas. They shall be absolutely gutted that they scaled back from the 2 million mark that they got the last time around. It seemed to be very, very tight the last time around. But it is what it is, and we have only given you what we've gotten. Information is the game that we play, and this is the information that we're giving you straight from the Harare International Conference Center, where the National Command Center for these elections has been. It is by far not the end of this journey, because we certainly know going forward we shall be getting more and more analysis. There shall be conversations between these two gentlemen. They shall give us their feedback with regards what their feeling is about either their losses or their wins. Emmerson Mnangagwa has said this, in line with the Constitution, is his last tenure in office. He wants to wrap up, as he said. He wants to give us a feel of what his ideas are looking like. It is the last chance saloon, of course, in the next week when we hear Nelson Chamisa and what he has to say. We shall be giving you feedback from these two figures, but indeed we shall be giving you feedback from a number of other people going forward. We heard that Xavier Kasukuwere, for example, thinks he has to give a statement to the nation. Is he going to run? Is he not? Will he want to try and take the mantle going forward? We shall hear what he has to say. We have people like Harry Peter Wilson. He's stayed the course and he really wants to to be the man in charge of this beautiful country. Elizabeth Valerio, she was a freshman. She wants to run the country. And if you were to go to her social media handles, she's speaking a lot about what she envisions about this particular plebiscite and her ideas going forward. Tomorrow is a whole new day. A whole new day in which Emmerson Mnangagwa is going to be not a candidate for this election, but president-elect. We shall be eagerly looking forward to see who he decides going forward should be part of that team that leads him to the end of his presidential tenure, if his words are anything to go by. We shall be seeing the people he's going to be moving forward with as a cabinet. We shall also be hearing from Nelson Chamisa and his Yellow Brigade to see what they are thinking. They must be thinking something. We also want to hear from you. Are you happy? Are you gutted? What do you think going forward? At the end of it all, it's the statistics that speak. At the end of it all, we are all Zimbabwean. We are born of this nation. We live here in this grand stage, a stage that is marked and demarcated by the north, by our south, from Zambezi in our south to Limpopo. May we go forward today and bring forth a new country, a new beginning. But may you stay with us at ZTN Prime, because we know this is not the end. This is the beginning of a fresh piece of history, because the coming week shall define whether people will say, let us hold hands and go forth, or whether some will say, we have a bone to chew, we have a question that we need answered. But we at ZTN Prime have answered your questions because we have given you the figures. We have done it diligently, we have done it well, and we have done it with the impartiality that we hope defines our Zimbabwean nation. My name is Robert Mkondiwa. This has been the Results Show. This is ZTN Prime. And this is election 2023. May God bless Zimbabwe. May God bless you and your families. May God keep you. And may God remember that at the end of it all, we are one, we are united, and we love one another without let or hindrance. And may you be ultimately blessed. Have a good night.
(2023's best adventure SUV just added another model to its lineup. Introducing the next-gen Ford Everest XLT. More adventures, more to explore, more to master. Master your path in the next-gen Ford Everest XLT.
Mnangagwa has just been duly declared the president-elect of the Republic of Zimbabwe. Your thoughts?
Yes. Thank you very much. We are very elated. We are very happy that the people of Zimbabwe have shown their confidence in our candidate, in our president. This is proof that they saw the works that he has been doing. He has done several developmental projects, be it in agriculture, around the agricultural sector, be it in mining, where he took it from a 2 billion industry to a 12 billion industry, be it in the energy sector, where now we no longer have load shedding, and we now have a new parliament and a new border post. This is evidence of what our president can deliver. And the people of Zimbabwe have reposed in him their confidence and said, can you take us through another 5 years? And we are very happy that we have managed to pull through this election.
So, of course, now the election is done. He's been duly declared the winner. I suppose, in a certain degree, the more work starts because it's another 5 years. So what can you tell the citizens of Zimbabwe and the ZANU-PF government that will now come in again re-elected?
What I can tell the citizens of Zimbabwe is ZANU-PF and His Excellency have a plan. We have Vision 2030 where we want to take this country to an upper middle income economy. We have NDS 1 which we are using to ensure that we deliver service to our people. And these programs will continue because this president has been given another mandate to ensure that he completes the work that he has started.
Zambi, thank you so much for having time to talk to ZTN.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you have it. That was Zimbabwe, the current legal and justice and parliamentary affairs minister. He was the chief electoral agent for his candidate for ZANU-PF, Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. And you've just heard the results. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, the candidate for ZANU-PF, is duly elected the president of the Republic of Zimbabwe. In the close second, of course, is Triple C leader Nelson Chamisa with 44% of the vote. The president, the actual president-elect, got over 52% of the vote, which means that he doesn't have to go for a first round. 50% plus 1 is what was required to win the presidency. And after a long days, we've been here since Tuesday. It has happened. The polling date on Wednesday, the polling date on Thursday, the parliamentary and local authority results. We finally have in Zimbabwe the results of election 2023. And to repeat, the winner of Zimbabwe's election 2023, where your vote counted, is Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa of ZANU-PF party. He will be the president-elect, and now they will obviously be organizing the inauguration. And as I asked the Minister of Justice, now more work starts, because mandates for 5 more years. And as the Zimbabwe said, they're going to continue with their policies, continue with what they're doing. Well, that's it from the command center. We, of course, will be bringing you more programming on ZTN Prime following the election. I'm Andy Hodges. Goodbye, and please, you'll be safe.
New Nissan Navara, now available in single cab.
Buckle up and prepare to be taken on a riveting journey, unlocking the very best of Zimbabwe. Architecture and interior design, art and entertainment, people, products, produce, the great outdoors, hidden gems, and so much more. Experience the good life from the comfort of your home. Only on C'est La Vie. Mondays at 6:30 p.m. on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294.
My feature, Mrs. Gianni.
The Queen is coming back. Can't wait to see you.
Me too. Bye. Oh yeah, whatever you do,